All
Okay,
right.
so Hangout is show number 115, and it's a short week for all of us because we just had our weekend. I don't know what you guys call it, but I call it the May long weekend. So here tonight we have
Oh my!
Siobhan. Sylvain, what are you?
Well, I'm going to say I'm from Montreal. Hello, bonjour, and I live in Alberta. So,
Born in Montreal, grew up in Vancouver, live in Alberta. So this is like a stack. You'd say bonjour, but I why? So with that, across Brian, you're interested in HT and some changes coming up with them.
Well, I'm not. HTC doesn't really interest me that much, except for the Ultra Pick. However, what was kind of interesting that came to the past couple of days was the idea that HTC announced they were not going to be releasing their HTC One Mini, which they've kind of done in the past few lines, in a plus or a bigger size one. But basically, the reports are saying because there just isn't an interest in their Mini lineup, they're not going to do that. Now, in the same week, we hear they're not going to do that. Like I think in the same day, LG announced their LG G4C, as well as a G4 stylus. So they released talking about their G4 compact version. So, and again, I always think about, do we really need these flagship variants, right? Do we need to have the G3, the G3 or plus the G3 compact, the G3 active, the whatever, right? I'm not looking at Samsung, but they do a lot of these. In terms of the here's the S5 out, and I'm all for a variant if they actually provide something. The active is a pretty neat idea, right? So you get something, get your regular device, but make it waterproof or make it do whatever. But when usually you look at what lineups are, they really dumb down. It's almost like last year's phone in a smaller case in terms of spec-wise. It's easy. It's like a 720p. It's like a really low processor, low RAM. And you can hardly call it a G4 anymore, really. So I'm not a big fan of that. Whereas I really like the Z3. The Z3 Compact came out, and the Z3 Compact had the same guts as the Z3 did, just a different screen size, and a different screen. Am I giving up some RAM and some processor to get a smaller screen? I want the same device, but just a smaller screen. So I don't know if we like this idea of what these flagship variants are out there, and do we really need variants out there? So
let's start with Sylvain.
yeah, I think it's getting where it's so confusing when you change your cell phone with all the best specs, and for Mr. Nobody that goes to the store and he sees a smaller screen, well, does he really? He's giving up RAM and he's giving up on the screen, a good resolution and all that.
That's a good point. What comment?
I think that, like, for example, when people had a 5-inch and a 6-inch, it would have been more widespread. The new Oppo phones also came out and a Plus version, and I actually really like it, so I'll talk about it a bit later.
Well, and I'm going to say that I do appreciate different variants. Like for Samsung, I agree, Ryan, although you weren't looking at them. They do go sort of crazy. But I think their idea of having the Note and S, smaller phone that would also be like sort of what the Alpha was last year, except a bit better specs for people. So because after going to Sony, I would have really liked this size experience. Yeah. So let's move on. The Asus Zenfone is coming to Canada. Actually, it should be out now. It's not going to be at places like Best Buy. I think you're going to have to buy it online. Is that correct, you guys?
Available in where am I thinking? So NCIX.
Canada Computers.
And your Memory Express.
And I'm going to say this is really great because as someone who, at work, we have to be the importer of records sometimes, and that just makes me bring up. Not that you should expect things to go wrong, but sometimes they do. So I think this is great. It's a very attractive looking phone, very reasonably priced. What do you guys think? Is it a good entry into the Canadian market, or?
I like the company.
I mean, I think Savannah and I have also had the ASUS tablets as well down the road, and they've been handled quite well. I mean, in terms of how I've been using them. Very durable products. I got ASUS router here, so I know that they've been solid for many of their products out there. So I'm just interested to try this out. A standard phone. I mean, this is less than I paid for the OnePlus One, 64 gigs of space, and I'll have 4 gigs that I always like to say to people whenever I'm buying online or whatever. Is that I always like to have somebody I can yell at should something go wrong, like you're saying, Cass, right? Like it's tough to be the importer. You have to do the whole steps yourself, and so it's $300 American if you're in the States to get the 4 gig version. So you do the math, and it's about $360 or so, about $20 more without the conversion. But you don't have to worry about importing and all that kind of companies we know. I mean, maybe we haven't dealt with them. Maybe you haven't been to one of their stores, but there are stores in Canada you can go to and yell at if you have a larger market that has one of these stores. So that's my big thing. I love being able to yell at somebody if something goes wrong. A bad customer. I love being able to talk to a person and then talk to somebody on the phone.
And it's frustrating when you can't access, or at least the feeling that you're talking to a person. I think a lot of ills can be diffused by having someone say, "Gosh, I'm sorry you're having such a bad experience. How can I help you?" Sylvain,
You're right.
If you check the Hangout link, we have a link to the article I wrote when it was available, and then they're available because it comes in a black and a silver gigabyte RAM, 16 gigabyte storage model, and it comes in red, silver, black, gold. I think for the 4 gigabyte, 64 gig. Price difference, I don't know why anybody would go for this 4 gig, 64 gig model. Normally when I see ASUS stuff, it's always been, especially their tablets, it's been so close to stock, so that. But when I've been reading the ASUS Zen but again, on a large, so it's one of those things like, again, I'd give it a shot.
Yeah, the price is awesome, and I mean, you look at the specs. Wow.
Yeah,
A phone with those specs, I think for that price.
between all of us,
if somebody wants to buy my spare G3, because I still have to I haven't set up the new. You can buy my spare G3. Give me enough money to buy the Zen phone.
welcoming, and hopefully, maybe Ryan, you'll be able to get a tester, and we'll be able. We do have Samsung. Ryan, you now have an Edge, a S6.
6 back because I have a couple accessories for the S6 to try out. So it'd be a little bit weird putting the case on, but it got the S6 Edge. And I gotta admit, I mean this Edge is pretty cool, pretty sexy. I'll talk about this a little bit later on. So I just got it today. I'm gonna be apparently already there've been 10 million of these sold across the world, which I think is a huge number for Samsung to do. Samsung's by no means a small player, so 10 million is huge. And it looks to be it's going to be the first phone to get 5.1 on its device. That's a non-Nexus, sorry. I mean, Nexus devices are getting 5.1 already. This is going to be the first non-Nexus device to get 5.1, and it's coming in June. Or so.
That's in 10 days.
Days, right? Siobhan, while we were talking before, you were saying that your boss had brought in a Note Edge, and you found that interesting. The functionality is a little different.
The is actually used for apps, news feed, all kinds of options. You can scroll and buy it. So I was pretty impressed.
And it was a value-added thing. What do you find it the same, Ryan?
I mean, now so far, and I don't know if you guys can see this or not.
Yeah.
I can have quick access to the contacts that are my favorites. If I have messages from any one of them, they'll be coming up a different color along the side. I can just swipe up the side and say, oh, there's text Mandy, there's text from my parents or whatever, right? So, but you can't see what it is. It's just there's a thin little color band that shows you that. The other idea is that once it's down, just because when you have it face down, you can still sort of see the text on. My mom is, let's see, oops, sorry. my mom is blue, my wife is green, my father-in-law is yellow, something like that, so I can sort of know what color people are. But I mean, I don't know how the edge works, but what's kind of nice about this, it has the curves on both sides. There's nothing cooler than sliding something along that edge, like the note edge, because I think the way the note edge works is that's the display there, sort of.
Right. No, it's blocked. There's something there.
Again, it gives that almost book-like feel as you slide through the curve. I mean, that's so cool. I mean, you could probably just mimic that and make your own little software that does something, but this is just neat. So.
I don't know. Does anybody else have that curve around the edge like that?
Nobody else.
Nobody. Continuing on with the S6 Edge. Man, there's a lot of things to say there. Sylvain has some impressions.
Yeah, it was cool. I really, really like it. First thing I did after looking at the Edge is open the camera app. Oh my gosh, it's so awesome. It's so fast that there's no little HDR, fully HDR on my OnePlus One when I tried.
Oh, I'm waiting for my contract to come up.
So far, really impressed. Angeles